time to move on to Event 12 of Championship Mode, and that is now the US versus UK Knockout. So we don't unlock anything if we win this. We basically just have to do it in order to unlock the events below. So the track we're going to is Desert Heat, and this is our description. This is a pan-Atlantic bout at Desert Heat between the British Aston Martin V12 Vanquish and the American Ford SVT Mustang Cobra R. Each round lasts 2 laps, and the last place driver is eliminated each time. Finish first in the 4th race to unlock events 18 and 19. So basically, this is more or less the American Revolutionary War all over again, except for saying that we're basically doing this in the desert reaches of, I'd say, either California or Arizona. Although, personally speaking, I'd probably say it's more likely to be Arizona. So we have a choice of 2 cars here. We can either use the Aston Martin Vanquish, which I do have a feeling I'll be using in the future, so after doing some research. So I think for this, well, they both look like good cars, there's no question about that. And while the Aston Martin does come in more colours than the Mustang does, but I think just because of favouritism, I'm going to choose the Mustang, because I know it's basically inevitable that at some point I'm going to be using the Aston Martin Vanquish more than once, and that's my way of thinking. So, in terms of our competition, aside from me, we've got 2 Aston Martin Vanquishers and 2 Mustangs, excluding me, of course, and this is one of 4 races, and it looks like we're going to be driving in a thunderstorm, and yes we are, for our first race. And off to a pretty reasonable start so far. I'd imagine this is probably going to be the same as Outback, or at the very least we're going to be driving Outback roads, and nobody bothers to take the shortcut, unlike me, as I run into a cactus, but it's okay because I am now already manoeuvring my way towards the front, as I am now closing in on the 2 leaders, and that's a wall. Oh well, anyway. Can I please focus on doing better in my runs? Okay. So, the Aston Martins seem to have the early advantage here, but again, I am willing to more or less hold up the flag for... Okay, now I'm restarting. Okay, so let's try this again, except for saying this time that I do actually manage to close in on the Vanquishers, rather than just being my typically slow self. Well, seeming to do a little bit better this time, but I'm still behind the Astons. However, it doesn't matter because... fuck my ass. You know, I'm not gonna lie, those Astons have definitely got some serious pace under the hood, is what I think. And I'm actually having a hard time trying to keep up with them at the moment. I've also established this car does not like hitting tumbleweeds. Yeah, something tells me the Mustang might be slow here, is what I think. Something tells me the Aston Martin might be the superior car, clearly. Unless I can somehow catch up to them. I have no idea what just happened there. I was basically just doing what I'd normally do into the corner, and yet basically the car just decided to park itself. Even though I was not even close to thinking about parking this thing. Well, anyway. Well, I'm closing in on the leader now, so he must have made a mistake. I can definitely say that felt like the longest amount of time it's taken so far for me to be up in the lead, but I've also established this is looking like it's going to be a lot harder than it seems. I'm also wondering if the Vanquish might have an unfair advantage compared to the Mustang, but we'll wait and see. As I'm going to take the shortcut, or else I will not be a contender without taking the shortcut. And at this time, things are not going very well. But I'm still in the hunt. And I know there is a chance. The odds are pretty minuscule, but as long as I have a chance, then it at least shows I'll be willing to push this thing and see if that final sector does manage to benefit me for the better. And hopefully not for the worse. So, I think it's Wayne who's still leading this race. Of course, we've now got a pack of Mustangs behind us, as I've got no idea what's going on with the other Aston at this time, but this is going to be some pretty hard fought races, as I've just seen lightning over there in the distance. And that's a wall. Well, looks like I'm gonna have to make sure I take the shortcut this time around. If that's what he's gonna do again. My only option from here might just be to follow him. And it doesn't look like he is taking the shortcut this time. And he's gone wide somewhere, so I'm closing in again. This is definitely shaping up to be quite some ding-dong battle for the race lead. The Aston seems to be the better all-around car here, but I'm still going to win anyway.
You qualified for the next round of knockout competition!
Alrighty. So, in the end of that, I won by... It'll probably show the margin of victory in just a second. That is a huge top speed difference, but I somehow beat him by half a second. Wayne was third, 4 seconds behind, Dom fifth, 5 seconds behind, and Mika, in the third Mustang, is the first to be eliminated. Anyways, let's aim to keep our momentum going. Yes. Since I know this is probably going to be a Mustang versus Aston battle, is what I think this is going to be. Time to start race 2. And as I would have expected, the Aston does get the advantage off the line. But it's okay because I have established it is possible to beat the Aston in this event, and one of them does wind up taking the shortcut this time. Fortunately, however, we're in much better weather conditions than we were before, so maybe if it's possible this time I can actually see where it is I'm going. Also because, well, the skies are getting brighter. I don't want to hit that tree again. And currently in third at the moment. I did manage to win the first race at least, and both Astons avoid taking the shortcut, or the first part of the shortcut, as I am right behind the leader, and he hit more tumbleweeds than I did. But at this stage it's hard to tell for sure who's got the best equipment until we get to the end of the knockout. And down the inside of the corner, doesn't look like the weather is really changing. I can also hear thunder rumbling. Could be because of where we're at. I cannot avoid scraping that wall. Something also tells me this might be an unfair competition. Although, at the moment at least, I am currently trying to do this whilst also trying to rectify what feels like a dead voice. I'm gonna be amazed if I can somehow manage to get to the final round of this thing in the Mustang. Because something tells me the Aston has an unfair advantage at this stage. So, how in God's name of hell am I gonna beat an Aston Martin Vanquish? Well, to put it simply, I don't fucking know. But am I gonna try? Yes. I'm still gonna try, even if the advantage itself to the Aston is an unfair advantage for most of the lap. except for the final sector, which, as I've learned, the Mustang is slightly better than the Aston in that final sector. And this time, I am going to take the shortcut, maybe see if it can manage to clear me from the sandstorm section. It doesn't look like it, but it's okay because I am still in contention for this thing. So, back up into the lead once again. I did somehow manage to win the first race. Why can I not stop hitting that fucking wall? Is there literally something about that wall I just cannot avoid? How am I supposed to fucking avoid it? It feels like there's a magnet attached to that wall or something. As in, I'm trying to go through its speed, but yet the speed is precisely what's tampering with me. It's almost like that wall just literally has a death sentence on me or something. At least that's what it feels like. Oh! A Mustang is actually leading this race. Or at least he was. Well, anyway. Doesn't matter because I'm still gonna win.
You've qualified for the next round of knockout competition.
You know, I might just have to give myself a break from recording for a few minutes just so I can get this problem I have with my voice sorted out. And Dom has now been eliminated. And I've also beaten my previous best time as well. Previous best lap time, by the way. Well, let's get a replay whilst we're here. I figure that's one way to make this uncertain situation better. I'm gonna have to remember to not shoot into the corner way too soon, because I think that's precisely what happened on that previous attempt. Well, I think that's precisely what happened during the race. I basically shot into the corner too soon, and basically it was what put me into the wall, more or less. But either way, it didn't matter because I wonder if it's possible for me to get some shots with both the Mustang and the Aston. That is one thing I've thought about. Still, it amazes me to say that I've not got any serious damage on this car. If there's anything that does amaze me, it's literally that. Okay, well, anyways, that's gonna do it. So, I will now pause this for a few minutes whilst I go and correct my voice. Two races are down and we still have 2 races left. Dom and Mika have both been eliminated. Now it's just between myself, Wayne, and Ashley. 2 Mustangs and 1 Aston. What will it be? Snake versus Snake, or Snake versus Luxury? All of this will be answered in about 5 minutes. Or 5+ minutes. Okay, here we go. Time for the penultimate race of this game, and ultimately Ashley now seems to be at the disadvantage in the Aston because, well, there are no other Astons here to comfort him, and right now I've established the job might not be as hard as it looks for me to pull it off, and this is basically what driving cars without ABS feels like. I mean, the brakes literally lock up, and a lot of the time you've basically got to rely on engine braking to slow the car down just so you can stay competitive without locking up the brakes too much. And that's one thing I've established that this game can do, because you've really got to watch out for those lock-up areas. But either way, I still remain in contention, and I'm not going to dive too deep into the corner. I can literally see nothing through the sandstorm, and back up into the lead I go once again as a result of my stronger exit speed. And now these tumbleweeds are becoming pretty obstructing in my opinion. Haha! I avoid clipping the same wall this time, thankfully. I've also established the shortcut is not going to benefit me that much. And Ashley very nearly puts me into a spin, but I do manage to save it as he goes for a dive bomb that's basically never going to work, and yet somehow he does make it work for a split second. But because he's so loose on the exit, he basically has to do nothing else but concede the position to me. And now we just have 1 lap remaining. Looks as though at the moment it probably is going to be Mustang versus Luxury. Oh, he's gone into... I think he's gone into one of those warning bars. I think that must be what he probably did. And now as a result, I am now open up to a much larger lead. Although Wayne is still sticking with me, so it looks as though it probably is going to be Mustang versus Mustang at this stage, because Ashley has basically binned it, and I very nearly made the shortcut. Oh well, it's fine. I can always overcome that interval. I also know it's a lot easier to overcome an advantage taken by the Mustang than it is to overcome an advantage from the Vanquish. Just gotta make sure I stay out of last place and not make the same mistakes I've been making up to this point. As I downshift, heavy on the brakes because I'll be sent into the wall otherwise. I know how loose this car is on the rear end. It's just going to cause me to oversteer and head straight into the wall. And that is the one thing I do not want. As I now retake the lead. The shortcut there is not helping the AI, but it is helping me, as I now retake the lead. And with just one corner to go, and running straight into a cactus, but it's okay because I'm through to the final round.
You've qualified for the next round of knockout competition.
And Wayne did get eliminated by Ashley in the end of that. Interesting. Well, anyway. 690,000 NFS points. And setting another lap time on the board. And now we've just got one race remaining. One race remains in the US versus UK knockout. It is a mano-a-mano battle between Snake and V12 Luxury. Who will win the final battle? Only time knows for sure. And away we go. As Ashley does get the initial launch off the line, but I've established the Vanquish is not quite as good in the final sector of the course, especially when it comes to those final couple of corners, which I know the Mustang is stronger in. And I've now cracked my windshield. Oh well, it doesn't matter. As I'm now closing in on Ashley in his Vanquish. I'm not going to take either of these shortcuts. I'm going to wait until the next one shows up, and then this one should be mine. And we both wind up taking the same shortcut line. Well then. Anyways. Who will win in this rematch of America versus Britain? Hopefully it will be America, because this car came from Motor City, and whenever you expect a motor car to come from Motor City, you normally expect it to win. I just cannot get through that corner without having some sort of accident. It's just become pretty obvious to me that unless I slam on the brakes into that corner, this car just will not make it through. And I have tried multiple times to see if I can somehow do something, but it doesn't look like this car physically wants to do it in any way, shape or form whatsoever. Tragically. He's probably taking a shortcut that's not going to work, and indeed it doesn't work. I think he just went the long way round. Anyways, I lead the first lap, and we're now into the final lap of the US versus UK knockout. Fuck you. I'm so glad he paid the price for that, because that was completely uncalled for. Because he literally just forced me into the rock, and then immediately afterwards, as a result, he basically wrecked himself, as I wind up hitting the same cactus again, and damaging my front end even further. Oh well, it doesn't matter, because this is the final race of the knockout, and as long as I don't make too many more mistakes, I should manage to win yet another one. Or so I would hope. But again, nothing is guaranteed until you've crossed the finish line first. At least that's the way it is in a lot of racing games. How did I miss that telephone pole? Anyways. Anyway, hold on. How did I miss that telephone pylon? I've got no idea. What I do know is... oh, I actually made it through the corner that time, and I didn't have to slam on the brakes to make it through. That is quite an interesting analogy. But anyway, he's taking the shortcut. I know it's probably not going to work. That line, as I now know, is slower, and it's only going to help me win even further. And just got one corner remaining as I clip a cactus on the inside, and there we go. Victory for America.
You won the knockout!
And more specifically, victory for the
Impressive.
Mustang.
You have just won the US versus UK knockout.
Yes, I have. Thank you. I have won the US versus UK knockout for America.
You've got a top time for this track.
Wonderful.
You set a new course record.
Even though I did hit the same cactus twice and almost destroyed my front end. But that's okay, because I still won it. Anyways, pretty sure we don't unlock anything, so I'm just gonna go back to the tree now and save my game. So, another event is done. I wonder what the next event is going to look like. And it's another knockout, followed by a third knockout. Okay, well, anyways. Pretty much done all I needed to do today, so I'm gonna get through the rest of these at some point during the week. Because right now, I'm pretty worn out. And before continuing this, I'm gonna need a break. So yeah, that's all for today, folks. See you in episode 21, I think.